This is a very important issue in my district in Memphis, Tennessee, the 9th District of Tennessee. Hardly a day goes by that I don't have somebody come up to me and say, Congressman, I need a job, but because I've got a previous felony, I can't get one. And they want to take, sometimes they're with their children, and I feel so bad for them that they've got their daughter or son who's maybe 10 or 7 or 8, and that their father has to come up and express to me the situation they're in. And this is because of actions of our government. It's their actions to start with, but nobody should have a scarlet letter for life. And there should be, within everyone, whether you're Judeo-Christian, Muslim, agnostic, Christopher Hitchens, or whatever, you should have the idea that people can be forgiven and people can improve, and that's what man is about, is hope and improvement and learning from your experiences. The criminal code doesn't really see that, and they punish these people forever. It hurts our society, it leads them back into crime, so it hurts the whole society, not just that individual and their family, but the entire society. Yep. And it is one of our problems with our criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system has so many holes in it where we refuse to see the truth. One of them is drug laws, and so many people get drug convictions, and the collateral consequences of felony convictions, drug convictions, whether felonies or misdemeanors, are great, and they lead to the lack of opportunities for employment, for housing, for scholarships, for TANF grants, for you name it. It is a scarlet letter that keeps these people in a situation where they're more likely to be recidivists and go back into crime because they can't get into mainstream. So it hurts. It contributes to the drug problem. It contributes to the crime problem. And what we've got to do is get a bill that we can get passed. I've introduced a bill today, or will be introducing a bill today, called the Fresh Start Act. It wouldn't affect everybody, indeed, but it'll say after 7 years, if you have been convicted in federal court of a nonviolent crime, regardless of anything else, no other conditions, you get your record expunged. You go back to the court that sentenced you. The U.S. attorney can weigh in and make some observations. But for 2 crimes that we came up with, which would be sex offenders, where we know there's a likelihood, I think it is a likelihood of repeat offenses and danger to the public, and financial crimes of over $10,000, where people should know that somebody's committed fraud and defrauded somebody in certain amounts so they can protect their investors or their own business. And with those 2 exceptions, anybody could go in to the federal court and get their sentence expunged, which would mean they could go back out and say, I've never been convicted before. I've got a clean slate and get a job. And these collateral consequences wouldn't affect them as well. There would be incentive grants to the states to have similar type of laws and pass their own expungement laws, and financial penalties if they don't, incentive grants if they do. This is the type of action we need. Mr. Rangel's got a bill that's similar but not quite as liberal as mine. I think that you need to have, and I picked 7 years simply because the law's got a lot of areas with 7 years and 14 and 21 on statute of limitations and property rights and all that stuff, and it's something that's stuck in my head from law school. Not that much did, but that did. And I think, Mr. Maurer, you mentioned 6 years. Is that the kind of the magic bullet?
Well, 6 to 7 is what the research shows, somewhere in that range.
So we're within the margin of error, yeah, which is better than most laws. So we're introducing that bill today. I would ask everybody to sign on to the Fresh Start Act. And you know, just some of the things we've done. We did something in our education bill this year on, I think, misdemeanors that says they can get scholarships again if they've committed a misdemeanor drug offense. It used to be you couldn't get a scholarship. It makes no sense whatsoever. The drug war, quote unquote, has cost us billions of dollars. I presume most of these collateral consequences. And I'm trying to think, Mr. Cassidy, were you the main spokesperson here on collateral consequences?
Well, I wouldn't make that claim, but certainly I did talk about it.
Do you think, are most of these collateral consequences supposed to be deterrents, or are they punishments?
Well, I think that's a very good question. And I think oftentimes what you have is a response to public anger about a particular instance, and the first response is, well, let's go back and close the barn door. I'm not sure they're very well crafted to achieve a purpose.
So you're not saying they're deterrents, you're not saying they're punishments, you're saying they're political Yahoo points.
I think when you have a situation where, for example, in New York State it appears there are more than 1,000 collateral consequences related to conviction, you set up a situation where the net is so fine and the mesh is so clear that it's surprising we don't have a 100% recidivism rate.
Well, they're obviously not deterrents because the crimes that are, crimes that are committed are growing in numbers. And, it's like prohibition. And the American public is saying these are not our values. And yet we're incarcerating people and taking away their rights and spending lots of resources and monies that we should be spending on education and health care and EPA standards and cleaning up the Gulf and all the other problems we've got rather than incarcerating people and putting them to a life of indentured servitude by gift of your United States government. But I thank each of you for your testimony, your works, and I thank Chairman Conyers and hope that we will have a bill on this that we can pass out of this committee and get with Chairman Leahy and get this approved in this Congress. And thank Mr. Gomer for leading, and I hope will be a bipartisan effort in seeing that we are moving forward with realistic, rational legislation, and that we don't have to remove all of our cynicism to get to the right point at the right time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.